viewers, I am Dr. Nilima Shrivastava, retired professor from School of Gender and Development Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. In today's video, I am going to discuss about gender mainstreaming. What are the concepts related to this? This video forms the part of the course MGSE 002, that is Gender Auditing and Gender Budgeting. In this video, we will look into the historical background of the concept of and emergence of gender mainstreaming as a concept, and what is understood by mainstreaming will be discussed in the second part of the video. In the next section, we are going to talk about why it is important for the economy and nation building that gender mainstreaming should take place. And finally, we will be discussing about what are the dimensions and what are the components that gender mainstreaming comprises of. Let us also look at the learning outcomes of this video. After watching this video, you will be able to explain the need for gender mainstreaming, define the concept, and discuss the dimensions of gender mainstreaming. And finally, you would also be able to elucidate upon the components of gender mainstreaming. Let us now look at the background which paved way for coming up to the stage of gender mainstreaming within the discourses of gender and development. Gender-neutral development policies and programs fail to recognize the different living conditions of women and men. Therefore, these policies end up favoring men who have better access to the training and credit opportunities within development frameworks. Moreover, in cases where women are provided similar services through women-specific development programs, the women beneficiaries lack the skills to make most of these services. This is because women-specific projects often tend to disregard the deeply embedded gender structures in the society, which assign women and men different roles, and as a result of which women and men have unequal degrees of decision-making power in their command. Further, most of the time, existing policies and programs are assumed to be gender neutral when they are gender biased, either outrightly or in other cases, gender neutral policies may in fact yield gender biased results when implemented. Gender mainstreaming emerges as an efficient tool to ensure that gender needs and concerns are included right from conceptualization, planning, implementation of any development project. Gender mainstreaming allows development practitioners to reformulate their policies and programs according to the needs and concerns of women and in the backdrop of wider structure of gender relations. In other words, through gender mainstreaming, women's needs are properly taken into consideration in development policies, while gender relations are tackled as an obstacle to achieve gender equality. It promotes a human, equitable, sustainable development with both women and men as active, powerful agents of change working in cooperation. And most importantly, through gender mainstreaming, the visibility of gender issues can be increased, leading to agenda setting geared towards achieving more gender equality. Let's now look at the historical background and how through the course of time, different approaches emerged within the discourses of gender and development, both in India as well as in international context. Until the early 1970s, development policies addressed the needs of poor women entirely in the context of their role as wives and mothers. As a welfare approach, the focus was on mother and child health, childcare, and nutrition. It was assumed that the benefits of macroeconomic strategies oriented towards modernization and growth would trickle down to the poor, and that the poor women would benefit as the economic position of their husband improved. In 1970, Esther Bosseroff, a Danish economist, systematically challenged these assumptions. In her book, Women's Role in Economic Development, she concluded that far from women benefiting as their husbands improve situation, women are increasingly losing status. In 1995, at the 4th United Nations International Conference on Women held in Beijing, gender mainstreaming was established as internationally agreed strategy for governments and development organizations to promote gender equality. Let us now look at the approaches to mainstream gender over the period of time. We have seen that over the years, development programs have been criticized for ignoring gender roles and the impact it has on women in global south. However, we see a shift to integrate women into development programs in hope of eradicating poverty and low social economic status. The 6 main theoretical approaches are the welfare approach, second, women in development, then women and development, which is called WAD, and gender and development, generally called GAD, the effectiveness approach, and mainstreaming gender equality. Let us now look at briefly at each of these approaches for you to understand the trajectory of or the progress of how gender mainstreaming became an important concept in gender and development. Social assistance or the welfare approach, which was prevalent during 1950s to 1960s, and during this era of decolonization and political transitioning in most African and Asian countries, was a response to the most of the newly independent countries' outcome of inequalities among the local elites and the common men in each nation. Working from a Western perspective towards helping these nations develop brought out a negative impact and outcome that further impeded progress. Women in development, that is the WID approach, was originated as a result of feminist movements or the feminist waves concerning women's condition and their status in the society. WID helped to ensure the integration of women into workforce and increase their level of productivity in order to improve their lives. However, it was a perception of global south from global north perspective, and it failed to acknowledge the cultural concerns of women in the developing world. Further, the approach failed to understand the dynamics of the private sphere but focused solely on the public sphere. The second wave of feminism, along with women's movement world over, led the United Nations organize the first global conference of women in 1975 at Mexico City. The conference sought to address nations' role in fighting gender inequalities and support women's rights. The Women in Development approach, which is generally called WAD, originated during the course of this conference as it discussed women's issues from a neo-Marxist and dependency theory perspective. Its focus was to explain the relationship between women and the process of capitalist development in terms of material conditions that contribute to their exploitation. WAD focuses specifically on the relations between patriarchy and capitalism. The WAD perspective states that women have always participated and contributed towards economic development regardless of the public or private spheres. The diversity of WAD approach was open to the experiences and needs of women in the developing world. The two main goals of WAD were to improve that the unequal relationship between the sexes hinders development and women's full participation both in public and private spheres. To change the structure of power whereby decision making and benefits of development are redistributed on equal basis of gender neutrality. The gender and development approach, which is called GATT, that emerged in 1980s was based on socialist feminism that served as a comprehensive overview of the social, economic, and political realities of development. It originated from the development alternatives with women for a new era, which was first initiated in India. The Dawn program was then officially recognized in 1986 during the third UN Conference on Women in Nairobi. The GATT approach is not just focused on the biological inequalities among sexes between men and women, but also on social roles, reproductive roles, and economic roles are linked to gender inequalities that are inherent in any society. The aim of this approach is to reshape power relations that created unequal gender relations, which in turn prevent in creating equitable development for women and men. The strategy of the GAD is to address both practical gender needs and strategic gender needs, then focus on women's triple roles, use of gender analysis tools, and to carry out gender mainstreaming. GATT framework entails incorporating gender concerns into all activities of development at each stage through mainstreaming gender and with the aim of addressing the structural gender inequality that is prevalent in the society. So, in this way, we see that WID emerged in 1970s to counteract the failures of modernization, and by the end of 1980s, a shift occurred from WAD towards a more political and inclusive set of strategies known as GATT, which represents a coming together of WID and WAD perspectives. The next is effectiveness approach that originated in 1980s with a focus on how societies fail to acknowledge the impact of women in economic development. However, this approach was not just to include women into development projects, but also reinforce their level of productivity and effectiveness in labor market. So this required the development of infrastructure and equipment that aided to increase women's earnings and productivity, especially for women in rural areas. Let's now look at the last approach and the currently in use approach, which is called mainstreaming gender equality approach, also commonly referred to as gender mainstreaming. This is the most recent development approach aimed at inclusion of women in every aspect of development processes. As I said earlier, it originated in 1995 at the 4th UN Conference on Women in Beijing, where 189 state representatives agreed that the inclusion of both women and men in every development project was the only way to succeed and progress in any nation's economic growth and development. Let's now look at the definitions of gender mainstreaming. Gender mainstreaming, as defined by European Institute of Gender Equality, is the integration of a gender perspective into the preparation, design, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of policies, regulatory measures, and spending programs with a view to promoting equality between women and men and combating discrimination. The Council of Europe defined gender mainstreaming as the reorganization, improvement, development, and evaluation of policy processes so that the gender equality perspective is incorporated in all the policies at all levels and at all stages by the actors normally involved in policy making. So, in this way, you can see that the gender is being incorporated or is being looked through at every stage of formulation of any program, any policy, and to that extent, even during the processes of researches which are being carried out on men and women in our society. Now, let's take a look at why it is so important for gender mainstreaming to take place at every level. It is because gender mainstreaming ensures that policy making and legislative work is of higher quality and has a greater relevance for society because it makes policies respond more effectively to the needs of all citizens, that is, women and men, girls and boys. This approach makes public intervention more effective and ensures that inequalities are not perpetuated. Gender mainstreaming does not only aim to avoid the creation or reinforcement of inequalities, which can have adverse effect on both men and women. That is, it is not only the avoidance but creating or facilitating inclusion of gender perspective at every stage of policy formulation, of program implementation, and of monitoring and evaluation processes as well. It also implies analyzing the existing situation with the purpose of identifying inequalities and developing policies which aim to address these inequalities and undo the mechanism that caused them. So, in this respect, it is a strategy to find out about the inequalities that keep emerging from time to time and also to redress them at the same time as soon as they surfaces up. Now, this is a very interesting diagram which has been taken from the website of European Institute of Gender Equality, and it gives you the picture presented before you will give you a comprehensive picture of what all gender mainstreaming stands for. It starts with gender mainstreaming strategy, then it has its dimensions, then the conditions in which gender mainstreaming can be applied, and methods and tools that are required to implement gender mainstreaming, and then what is the ultimate result of mainstreaming strategy. Now, let's look at each of the component little closely. Gender mainstreaming strategy, it is a political commitment and also a legal framework to include gender at every aspect of planning and policy making. The dimensions include equal representation of women and men and gender perspectives in the content of policy making, or gender perspective in the content of policies. It can be implemented under the conditions of implementation plans and within the structures. Mainstreaming can be carried out with the resources, then with accountability mechanisms, that how knowledge generation is taking place, whether it is inclusive of gender perspective, that also can be ensured. Gender expertise can be developed by employing gender mainstreaming as a strategy, and at the level of stakeholder involvement, gender mainstreaming can also take place. Now talking about the methods and tools that help in mainstreaming. The first and the foremost is gender analysis, and equally important is gender audit. Gender awareness raising is another method of gender mainstreaming. Gender budgeting is also a very important measure or a way of mainstreaming gender within the national economies. Then gender equality training programs are other ways of incorporating gender mainstreaming. Gender evaluation, gender impact assessment, use of gender indicators, gender monitoring, and gender planning are other ways and methods of gender mainstreaming. Then gender procurement, gender statistics, and gender sensitive stakeholder consultation are other ways to mainstream gender. Then institutional formation and collection of sex disaggregated data are other ways of carrying out gender mainstreaming in any policy, program, or research process. As a result of employing gender mainstreaming, we can see that policy making will be of better quality and inclusive of the needs and concerns of all genders. Then there will be a better functioning institutions, and more effective processes have been evolved as a result of employing gender mainstreaming. Now, let's sum up the discussion that we had during the course of this video. By now, you would have understood that gender mainstreaming has evolved as a strategy over a period of time to bring about gender equality and equity in the context of gender and development. Gender mainstreaming has been embraced internationally as a strategy towards realizing gender equality. You would have also understood that gender mainstreaming is considered as an initiative taken by the state and international organizations to mainstream gender in all sectors so that gender equity and equality can be attained. Gender mainstreaming ensures that all gender issues are addressed and integrated in all levels of society, policy making, and programs. For the video, following references are provided and the information is being collected through these sources, which have purely been used for academic purposes. I thank you all for being with us today, and I hope you would have understood the concept of mainstreaming and how it is important to bring about change in our society and come up with a more gender just and equitable concerns in any human society. Thank you so much.